Today, I'm going to be showing you how to add these 3D money vortexes to your footage, make it look like it's circling your subject and actually there. It's super simple to do, and it actually can be done in any editing software. Bro, we finally have a collab pack on the channel, and it's with the man himself, TinyTapes. If you're not familiar with Tapes, he's a director, an editor, and now tutorial maker. Anyways, a while back, he hit me. He was like, yo, you up? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, yo, hop on Discord. Like, bro, what do you want, dude? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, you know how I do those crazy 3D vortex money effects that like circle the subject and make it look like it's actually there? Like, yeah. And he was like, you know how it takes me hours to render and it's like super annoying and always crashing and I'm always complaining about it? I was like, yeah. And then Tapes was like, well, what if we collabed and made a money vortex effects pack that was like super simple to use? You could drag it on and it could be used in any editing software. And I was like, Tapes, that is so stupid. And hung up the call. Anyways, we collab with Tapes. We made a money effect vortex pack, can be used in any editing software. Super easy to use. It's transparent backgrounds. You just drag it over your footage. That's available on my website right now, bryandelimata.com. For the first 48 hours, if you use code Vortex, it's gonna be $10 off. And then anytime after that 48 hours, it's gonna be $5 off with the same code Vortex. This pack has everything. It has everything you need. It has 5 vortexes to the right, 5 vortexes to the left, money sweeping to the left, money sweeping to the right. We have transitions left and right, floating up and falling down. It's got everything that you need to have these like 3D looking money effects in your video. So here we have 2 clips of Lil Mosey. The footage is super flat and it's actually from the Breathing Again music video. Tapes actually edited this music video and used these money assets in here. So if you go watch the actual music video, you can see a good way of how they can be used. But the first thing we're going to do, since this footage is so flat, is just toss on my LUTs. And right now inside the pack, there are 3 currencies that you can download separately: Canadian, Euros, and USD. We're gonna use USD for this video, and then we're gonna go to Money Vortex. And then inside that, there's gonna be a left to right or a right to left option. So basically just the way the money spins, left or right. We're gonna go ahead and use left to right, and then drag on the third one. These are all in 4K, super high quality, and so I'm actually gonna scale this to frame size because I'm working in a 1080p sequence. Now, the first thing you might notice is the color doesn't match. So what we're gonna do here is actually just copy and paste the lumetri color, or the color grade on the footage onto the money, and it's like 90% there. Some things that I would do is go into lumetri color, play with the exposure to make sure the brightness is proper. I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit here. The tint will help out a lot too. I'm gonna make it a little bit more green, and then I'm also gonna change the temperature just to make it a little bit more warm. And there we can see the money matches the money in his hand a lot more here. Now, if you want something that's just really quick and your subject isn't moving too much, all you might have to do is just scale it up a little bit to fit just a little bit better. Right here, it looks good to me for like 150 for this clip. And if we play that, it looks pretty damn good. We can use a little bit of motion tracking and keyframing the position, scale, and rotation, just a little bit because the camera's moving a lot and the subject's moving a lot. But if you have a little bit more stationary of a clip, you probably won't have to move it around too much. Another thing that really helps sell these money vortexes is these flying across effects. And what you want to do is you want to match the direction of the vortex. So if it's spinning left to right, you're going to want to drag on that left to right flying across clip. Once that's on, you'll notice that these bills are now not colored the same. So all you have to do is go to the lumetri color and copy and paste that onto there. And now we have just a little bit more money, and it kind of hides that money vortex a little bit. And I would say this right here is passable as an effect, and it would look good in a video. But you know, on the channel, we always want to take it to the next level, always step it up, sauce it up, make it that much better, because those things that you can add on that won't take too much extra time will really take your video to like that next level and make your video stand out from others. The number one thing that's going to make these money vortexes look super realistic and look like it's actually there is adding speed ramping to your clip. That way the money speeds up and slows down with the footage. We actually made the money vortexes and everything in the whole entire pack 60 frames per second. That way you can slow it down and it won't get warpy. It'll actually look really, really good when you slow it down. So let's go 5 frames forward into the clip. I'm gonna right click on my actual footage itself, go to speed and duration, and bring that to 200. I'm also gonna do the exact same thing for both of the money overlay layers. And then in there, I'm also gonna change the time interpolation to optical flow on all of them. That basically just makes up extra frames and makes everything a little bit more smoother. And then to make that super simple, instead of actually keyframing, I'm just gonna cut all 3 clips right on that 300 here. On all the clips that I split on the right-hand side, I'm going to go back and go to speed duration, change them all back to 100, just the normal speed at which the clip's playing. And then I wanna find some spot to do some slow motion. I think it's a good spot when it gets closer to Mosey here. So like right around here, I'm gonna split all the clips again. And then on the right-hand side, I'm gonna change the speed and duration to 50 on each of these. I'm just gonna have it play until right about here when he puts his hand up, and then I'm gonna split these again and then change the speed and duration to 200 again. And I only want that to last 5 frames, so I'm gonna shorten everything here as a good way to transition out. And then when you play that, that, you can see now it's looking a lot better already. And there's like 2 or 3 more things that I'm gonna do to sauce this up even more. The first thing I'm gonna do is nest the 2 overlay sequences and then change the position and scale just to give it a little bit more of a real feel and have them feel like they're moving around. So let's go ahead and do the across one first. So we can just name this money across. And for this one, there's not really much I want to do to this one other than maybe scale it in over the course of time, just so it feels like it's getting closer to the camera. I'm going to go from like 1 to 300. And then I'm also going to add some Gaussian blur on here, just to add a little bit of depth between the vortex and the money flying across itself. And I'm going to keyframe that Gaussian blur from like 7 to like 15 or 14 or something like that. And you can see how when it gets closer to the camera, it's getting a little bit more blurry over time. That just adds a little bit of depth and actually makes it look a lot more realistic. And when we add that vortex in, there's going to be a little bit more depth and it's just going to make it look a lot better. Now what I'm going to do is actually turn off that money across layer. Now before we go ahead and nest the vortex, if you did scale it up just for the simple version, I'm going to go ahead and bring this back down to 100. That way all the money is actually in frame and not cut off. That way when we nest it, there's not going to be an issue. So I'm just going to go ahead and reset the scale of all 4 of these clips, then go ahead and nest it and name this vortex. Now on the nested layer, let's keyframe the position, scale, and rotation. And then if you click motion up here, you can actually just click and drag the nested sequence. It's a little bit easier. We can rotate it here like that. I always find it looks a little bit more realistic when you actually just have the vortex kind of wrap around them with a little bit of room on the right and left hand side. So for us, 153 looks good. And then I'm just going to go 10 frames at a time. So if you hold shift and then the right arrow on the sequence here, that should be enough. Let's go ahead and maybe change the rotation. And then again, 10 frames at a time. I'm just going to do this every 10 frames. So change that. Keep in mind when you do change the position, if you don't change the scale or rotation, just go ahead here and click these keyframes. That way you lock in the position of those keyframes if you don't change anything. So again, 10 frames. And now since Mosey's getting a little closer to the camera, we're going to have to scale up the money just a bit as well. I'm just going to try to proportionally do it with Mosey coming closer. Again, a lot of this is going to be hidden with the money across and just the motion of the clip in itself. But if you want to make it look super realistic, this is the best way to do it. Now, when we play that, even without the money going across, it looks a lot better and it looks like it's tracked on there. So then when we actually go ahead and add the money across going back in, it looks super realistic. Then on top of all the layers, I'm just going to add an adjustment layer with transform on there and make sure to change the shutter angle to like 180 and then uncheck use composition settings. I just find it really nice. Just scale in just a little bit, maybe only to like 115 or something all the way at the end. That way it's zooming in not only on the video layer, but the vortex and the money coming across. So it's just going to make it seem a lot more whole and everything's like zooming in together. And just like that, that's pretty much the whole entire effect for this clip. Now what we want to do is actually transition into this next clip here. I'm gonna have some money like floating up, kind of look like it's like reverse falling out of the sky. And to do that, I'm gonna go to the transition folder. Again, make sure you use the same one. So if your money is rotating left to right, be sure to use the left to right transition. I'm gonna bring that in here. I'm gonna make sure to scale that to frame size. And then I'm also going to go make sure to copy that lumetri color. And all you have to do is line it up so the money takes over the full entire screen on the cut. And I put that over the adjustment layer. That way it doesn't affect the scale or anything. And then when we play that all together, you got a nice transition to that next clip. Now let's go ahead and make the money look like it's floating up, kind of like reverse falling out of the sky. I think it's a super hard effect. Again, going back to that money vortex pack, we have floating up and raining money. So floating up's going up, obviously raining money is going down. I want to use floating up. Let's go ahead and use number 1. I'm going to drag that into the clip here. And with this one, if you do scale it to frame size, the bills are going to be a little bit smaller, but actually in this clip, I'm not going to scale it to frame size. I just want it to be like bigger bills. I want it to feel a lot more like in front of the camera, like really close to the camera. So we got something like this. Obviously we need to paste the lumetri color on here. I do want to have it speed ramp in here. So we can have the clip play at 100 at this point. And then I want it to like slow down when Mosey puts up his hands like this. Then let's go again, speed and duration. Make sure to change that to optical flow. And we can put that to something like 40 and then do the same for the money. A good way to transition out of the clip is just to have it speed back up. So let's go ahead and do that 100, just working on the flow of the overall edit. And then when we play that, you can see plays fast, slow-mo, and then cuts back to quick again. And I want this money to feel a little bit more in front. So again, just highlighting these clips, going to nesting them, and then I'm going to keyframe the scale it up just a bit, maybe 140. And then I'm also going to just add a little bit of Gaussian blur to add that depth because it's like really close to the camera. We could start that at like an 8 or something, and then again, end it closer to 15. And then I'm going to copy and paste this adjustment layer and have it end right here. Maybe something like 110 instead of 115. Again, just making the clip feel whole. And then when we play that all together, we have something that looks like this. Now there is one last thing that I would just drag on to make it look a little bit better. It's just an adjustment layer with a film look effect on top of it. I'm just gonna drag that on there and then render that out. And you can see what that does. It kind of just like blends like the edges of the money and everything. I don't know. It just makes it look a little bit more like it's actually there. But just like that, we have a fully 3D money vortex effect with some floating money there. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you use code Vortex at checkout for the first 48 hours, it's gonna get you $10 off. And then anytime after that 48 hours, it's gonna get you $5 off. Tapes is a really dope director and editor and now tutorial maker. So I'll have all his stuff linked down below as well as the pack. Definitely let me know if you guys wanna see like a collab video with Tapes, maybe a tutorial collab or maybe even a music video collab. Let me know in the comments. We could probably make that happen. That's pretty much all I got for you guys in this one. Hope you guys did enjoy. Peace.